spins and goes right around Patrick.
I mean, let's be honest, Tina Charles should be able to do that every single time down the floor.
Tina Charles had a monster game against Southern Connecticut in the second exhibition. 24 points, 9 rebounds in 16 minutes. Only 16 minutes because she fouled out. A blocking foul will be called on Kalena Green. The call by John Palermo, who's working today with Denise Brooks-Clauser and Rita E. Roach. This is the first of 8 games at Gamble Pavilion this season. The first of 16 home games for the Huskies. Stony Brook having trouble inbounding, and they have a 5-second violation as Young could not find an open receiver. There's Michelle Cherry, who coached her first game as a head coach Friday night with a win over Iona. She had been an assistant at Stony Brook for the 3 previous seasons under Maura McHugh. High post Hunter has it knocked away from behind by Ferraro. This is Montgomery guarded by Horsey. Down low Charles. She wants to take it right to the hole again.
And again, Patrick is going to have a difficult time trying to stop Tina Charles. If they allow Charles to have one-on-one isolation like that all day, it's going to be a long afternoon for Stony Brook.
Horsey defended by Montgomery. This is Ferraro, who did not score the other night, but had 16 rebounds and another turnover for the Seawolves.
Well, the problem for Stony Brook is it's very difficult to simulate the type of defense that UConn plays. I mean, there's no way Michelle Cherry can do that in practice to get them ready to play the Huskies.
A year ago, they took very good care of the basketball. They were second in the 9-team America East in turnover margin. This is Thomas up top to Montgomery. Stony Brook starting out in the man-to-man. They'll also play a lot of 2-3 zone. Thomas buries the 3.
Well, it's difficult to play a zone when you got someone like Mel Thomas, and we talked about it off the top of the show, with her three-point shooting prowess, especially the way she's been shooting the ball just this past week alone. I mean, she was 4 for 4 against Southern.
UConn with the early touchdown lead on this Sunday afternoon. Horsey defended by Montgomery. On the left, it's Davis, defended by Green. And a 3rd turnover in a row for the Seawolves. This is a nightmare for Michelle Cherry's gang.
Well, what Michelle was telling me before the game is that it's so important for their freshman point guard in Misha Horsey to not turn the ball over, but I don't think she expected her upperclassmen to turn the ball over so much.
All right. She told me yesterday that Horsey's the type of kid, she can't tell the difference between an empty gym and 10,000 people, that she never gets rattled. There's a turnover for the Huskies, their first of the afternoon, and Horsey will try to reset the offense. She had 6 assists, only 1 turnover in her first collegiate game the other night.
And that was a big improvement from their exhibition game where she had a bunch of turnovers.
Ball knocked off Green's knee. 15 to shoot for the Huskies.
You know, Bob, that's the biggest thing. The speed of the game is what she had to get used to. When you throw the ball, you pass the ball, you got to fire it. You can't just lob it to your teammates, because that's going to be a layup the other way.
Horsey to Young, left side with the jumper over Green, and Hunter is all alone underneath for the rebound, then lost the ball, but it wound up in Montgomery's lap. We've played 2.5 minutes. Opening day for UConn. Thomas, her second 3 of the afternoon, and the rebound is pulled down by Charles. She's 3 for 3.
Well, when you can mix it up and play zone, and Stony Brook is going to have to do that as they call a timeout to talk things over. You then got to try to find a body and box out, and that's what makes playing zone against a good team so difficult. But they don't have the personnel to match up.
So 9-0. Michelle Cherry had to replace 55 points per game. Some serious graduation losses. They had 2 of the best players in America East history, in Makima Ford, who was the America East Player of the Year last season, and center Jessica Smith, also a first-team All-America East performer, was the Rookie of the Year as a freshman. Ford, the all-time leader in assists and the second leading scorer in school history. And Smith was the 3rd leading scorer and rebounder. And Megan, you just can't replace 2 people like that without feeling it. And then much less you playing the number 2 team in the country, your second game of the year.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all the numbers, and not only the points, and it's 80% of their offense last year when those 2 players left. Did you lose? But the leadership and the off the court and the intangibles that they brought to this team, they got a lot to learn, and they're being led now by a freshman at the point guard spot. And
that is the freshman Horsey who gets the shot out of the timeout.
And I talked about it with Michelle, there's a nice sort of, and I'll say cluelessness about freshmen, but they don't know enough to sometimes be scared, and that's a really good thing.
Tina Charles finally misses a shot, and there's Ferraro with the rebound. She had 23 of them in one game a year ago. That is a Stony Brook single-game rebounding record. Horsey calls out the play. Bounce pass down low to Davis, but she juggled the pass. Morgan Patrick jumper. Rebound Hunter. Here comes Montgomery. UConn trying to get something in transition. Stony Brook does a good job of getting back. Down low, Charles got inside Patrick.
Unbelievable pass from Renee Montgomery. I mean, she knew she wanted to throw it there, and she got it there in a hurry.
4 for 5 is Tina Charles, and it's a 9-point UConn lead. Horsey, Montgomery tried to draw the offensive foul, didn't, and Horsey throws it away anyway. So Stony Brook has 1 field goal and 4 turnovers in the first 4 minutes. Mel Thomas is 6th in UConn history in 3-point field goals. That was the 190th of her career.
We have to be a great rebounding team. We have to become a great interior defensive team where we've got to be able to keep people from getting easy shots in the lane. And the third thing is you have to be really smart to win a national championship.
And Megan, this is a UConn team that was 6th in the country in rebounding margin a year ago, and they have everybody back. Thomas for 3, her second of the afternoon.
And again, that's not going to hurt when you got that young lady knocking down shots from long range. And I said this earlier, if she can continue to do that this year, then who knows what can happen with this team.
Number 1, Kirsten Nunn has checked into the lineup for Stony Brook. Turnover number 5 for the Seawolves. Green had 57 steals last year, and there's another one. Wheels coming off for the Seawolves.
Well, and Kalina Green just knows her role so well. She wants to play defense, mix things up, rebound the ball both defensively and then on the offensive end, get in there and get some offensive rebounds. Nunn
turns, missed the rim, off the backboard it goes, and here comes Montgomery. Has Thomas spotting up for another 3. They have to find her.
Well, obviously, if you're Stony Brook, you have to know where number 25 is at all times. You can never leave her open. Certainly not that wide open.
Thomas 3 for 4 from 3-point range, and Stony Brook turns it over for the 6th time. Montgomery ahead of everyone. Tough catch by Maya Moore, and those are the first career points for Maya Moore, the first of many.
Yeah, this kid, I mean, she is so much fun to watch, Maya Moore. She doesn't look like a freshman by any stretch.
Pull-up jumper by Nunn. She's had the ball twice. She's taken 2 shots. Moore with her first career rebound. Tough catch in traffic. Green. Thomas. And another timeout for Michelle Cherry. (23-2) is the score for the Huskies. Mel Thomas has already scored 11 points, Meg, in the first 5 minutes and 52 seconds.
Well, and that's, you know, Stony Brook just has to realize that, you know what, okay, we're playing a team that I think is more talented than they are, but you cannot give wide open threes, and that's just going to kill you. You got to know. And that's the problem, though. If you try to take Mel Thomas away, well, then you're leaving Tina Charles open inside, and then you got Renee Montgomery, and you have a lot of weapons to choose from, and that's what makes this UConn team very good.
And that young lady there is already very good. Maya Moore, with the possible exception of Diana Taurasi, she might have entered UConn with more skills, more ready to play than any player in the history of the program.
And I've talked with some of the coaches, particularly Chris Daly, about this, and Gino. Svetlana Abrasimova had a lot of skills as a freshman. She was a little bit older. That would be the only other player that I would probably compare Maya to, but Maya is clearly very special.
Rebound on the foul by Soignier, her first, and that's number 2 on the Huskies. So a fresh 30 for the Seawolves, who are just trying to get something positive to happen here. Ferraro lobs it down low to Patrick. Kick out goes through the hands of Joya Daniels and into Gino Auriemma's lap. 7th turnover.
And how about him?
Yeah,
no
where's the tie?
That's apparently a new trend.
It is, huh?
He's sporting this year.
Doesn't have anything to do with, you know, Sunday afternoon, a little casual.
I thought it was because of the exhibition games, but I was very surprised to see him walk out.
Moore and Charles getting a little mixed up on the communications. Only the second turnover for UConn, and Charles will sit down after scoring 8 early points on 4 of 5 shooting.
You know, the coaching staff has such high expectations for Tina Charles that she's got to play this game a certain way or she won't play. And we saw that in the national team game last Friday night.
Good ball fake by Horsey, and Moore with their first career block. Now Moore is one freshman on the UConn team, and the other freshman now makes her UConn debut. Lauren Dixon, all 5 foot 4 inches of her.
And now she didn't play against the national team, but she did play against Southern Connecticut on Tuesday night, and as her partner in crime there stole the ball. But Dixon is so much fun to watch. I don't think you've ever seen anyone this fast with the basketball. And we've watched Keisha Soignier for a couple of years now.
Right?
Yeah.
Soignier for 3, knocks it down. Soignier a year ago shot only 23.8% from 3-point range. Knocks down her first one of the year. It's 26-2.
It shows you what confidence will do for you. She worked a lot in the offseason, and when you prepare, that gives you more confidence. And she is so confident this year shooting the basketball.
Joya Daniels back out top. The long 3 by Horsey, no good. Rebound pulled down by Dixon, who wants to run. When she's in the game, she has the capacity to speed up the tempo by herself. Moore with the miss. Rebound, Morgan Patrick. Kylie McLaren in for the Huskies for the first time. Horsey played against UConn recruit, future Husky Elena Deladon at the AAU level. Horsey out of Wyncote, Pennsylvania, suburb of Philadelphia. That's where Reggie Jackson's from. Right side jumper, no good by Young, and Farrar did a good job of keeping the rebound alive. Held ball, arrow pointing toward the Seawolves.
And you talk Horsey, another famous alum from Cheltenham High School is Kathy Oriema.
Right? Yeah, I asked Kathy one time, was Reggie Jackson the same way in high school that he is now? She said, yep.
Enough said.
Humble.
Yeah.
Not a bad player, and the spotlight was on. Ferraro hits the jumper from the elbow. Those are her first points of the season. She had a very strange line, Megan, on opening night.
Yeah, she didn't score a point, had 16 rebounds, and when asked about it by her coach after the game, she said, you know what, I don't care. We won the game. I don't care if I score at all.
There's 4 to Soignier. Number 2, Tahira Williams is in as Gina Oriema is going to his bench frequently here in the early going. Soignier. And Soignier uncharacteristically lost the ball out of bounds, wound up in assistant coach Olivia Daugherty's hands. Maya Moore, 2-time winner of the Naismith National High School Player of the Year Award. She's off early with a couple of points and rebounds. Slight gaping hole in the lineup there, but of course it's a lot of time before opening day. It's opening day for the Huskies, though. They've won 11 of them in a row since losing to Louisiana Tech on November 19th, 1996 in Knoxville. That shot was missed by Waterford, Connecticut's Jody Plikus. Baseline jumper, Ferraro, her second field goal of the day. Ferraro was the Defensive Player of the Year in the American East as a sophomore. Tahira Williams will draw the foul from Morgan Patrick, and that's the first foul of the afternoon by the Seawolves. And sometimes, Megan, that's not a good stat.
Well,
sometimes it's a good idea to be in a position to commit fouls.
Yeah, and in the first 9 minutes of this game, unfortunately, Stony Brook just really hasn't been contesting enough Connecticut shots.
Well, Husky shooting 73%. Now, Tahira's twin brother, Isaiah, had a big game last night for the Maryland Terps. He had a 45-yard reception in Maryland's huge win over 8th-ranked Boston College. He's got 15 catches for 220 yards this year. The shot blocked. And Maya Moore picks up the loose ball and will draw the second foul of the day.
Well, the important thing,
yeah,
Bob, the important thing here is to not give up on the play, and that's what Maya Moore did. She just hustled and stayed with it and didn't automatically assume that because McLaren was turning around shooting the ball to just run back on defense. This kid's got a nose for the ball and just doesn't stop playing.
Moore in her high school career scored 2,664 points. Reverses it to Dixon. Stony Brook now in that 2-3 zone. We may see a lot of that the rest of the way. Cross-court pass, Ferraro stole it. One-on-one with the much smaller Swanier, shot over it.
That was good. Nice anticipation there by Ferraro. I mean, you can't stop running your offense, and those skip passes are what the defense wants you to throw.
Ferraro has 6 of Stony Brook's 8 points. We approach the midway point of the half. It's UConn by 18. They led it 9-2. They led it 26-2. So it's actually a 6-point Stony Brook run that ends there with a basket by Williams.
Well, it's the movement of the basketball that opened that up for Williams inside, and it's inside-out combinations, and you've got to keep the defense moving from side to side and inside and out.
This is Joya Daniels, who scored a career-high 10 points in the opener against Iona. And away from the play, we'll have a foul on the Huskies. I think this will be on Swanier. It's her second. 3 on the team. And you were mentioning the ball movement by UConn.
Well, there
end.
you go, from the right to the top to the middle to the wing. And see, the defense, they're not communicating. They had 2 people going out to Dixon on the ball, and that leaves Tahira Williams open inside.
Charles, Green, and Montgomery all check back in for the Huskies. And Stony Brook's burning another timeout here because they had trouble getting the ball in bounds. Michelle Cherry has now used 3 of them in the first 10 minutes and 4 seconds of the ball game.
Well, and you know she's not worried necessarily about the outcome of this game, but she just wants her team to be able to execute and do the things that they're good at and not stop competing and stop executing. And she's worried about their games down the road against the America East and the teams that are on their schedule.
And they compete in Stony. You know, one of Michelle Cherry's assistant coaches, there's Jesse Boylan, played at Stony Brook and fallen behind here 26-2. You know who can relate to that? Her dad, Jim. He's the assistant coach for the Chicago Bulls. He was once the coach at New Hampshire. And on December 12, 1990, he brought New Hampshire into Gamble Pavilion to play UConn, and UConn scored the first 32 points of the game and went on to win 85-32.
Wow.
Down low, Maya Moore with the left hand. Nice feed from Green.
Well, that's just a perfectly executed. It wasn't necessarily the fast break as many people know it, but great execution up the floor.
So Moore's got 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists already. Talk about a stat sheet filler. Horsey's pass deflected by Montgomery. She's got a half step on Horsey and then puts on the brakes and lays it in.
And I said this a little bit before, Bob. Everyone talks about UConn's offense, but what is so impressive is the way they play defense and the way they get in your face, the way they guard the ball, the way they take away passing angles. They make it very difficult not only to run your offense, but to complete a pass.
UConn has 17 points off turnovers in the first 11 minutes. Here's a jumper from the foul line by Norwood. Samantha Norwood, a freshman from Australia. And here comes Maya Moore, changes hands on the dribble. Swanier, a little hesitation with the dribble and gives to Charles.
Another nice dish. You know, Swanier knows exactly what to do with the ball. I mean, we saw her turn the ball over before, which is so unusual. But the kid really knows how to get in the lane. Now this year, she's shooting the ball more than ever, which will open up more of those lanes for her to penetrate and kick.
Charles 5 for 7 from the floor, 10 points. Moore with the steal. That's the 10th turnover for the Seawolves. UConn just killing the Seawolves in the lane. Down low, Charles. Kick out Swanier on the dribble drive.
How about that? You know, last year, the year before, she maybe wouldn't have taken that shot. But again, not only the senior leadership that she has and the experience of the last 4 years, but the work she's put in has allowed Swanier to take that shot and make it.
UConn is shooting 76% first 12 minutes.
Wow.
That's good in layup draws.
Well, you know, I don't think any coach ever expects to shoot the ball that well. I mean, you love when it happens. And this is another thing that the defense does. I mean, the pressure defense forces Horsey there to travel and turn the ball over. I know she's a freshman, but their defense is impressive.
Keisha Swanier has come off the bench to score 5 points and already has 1 assist. She's made both of her field goal attempts. Bob Picozzi and Megan Kumo back at Gamble Pavilion. We're getting an eye full at freshman sensation Maya Moore. And Megan, she was magnificent in her first exhibition game playing against some of the best players in the world, the U.S. senior national team.
Well, and the funny thing is, you try not to have too many expectations on a freshman. It's really unfair, and I know the coaches have been very careful to do that, but it's hard to watch this young lady play. Number one, physically, she just looks different than a freshman. She doesn't look like so many of the other freshmen that you see. Already here tonight, she's got 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. And that's the way this kid gets involved. She's active on every part of the basketball floor, both offense and defense. She gets herself involved. She works. There's nobody that works harder, let's just say that.
Mel Thomas has already knocked down a couple of threes.
She thought about that one. I don't know why she didn't take it.
Brittany Hunter puts it on the floor, uses the glass. Ferraro kept the rebound alive and then lost it over the end line. She and her teammate Norwood got tangled up. So a fresh 30 for the Huskies. UConn has Holy Cross Wednesday night here at Gamble. We'll have it for you at 7:30 on CPTV. Crusaders are opening their season today against Vermont at the Hart Center as that ball is thrown out of bounds. Gino Auriemma's club turning it over for the 5th time.
I tell you, you got up there pretty quick.
As always, I'm trying to protect the diet beverage here. Trying to prevent it from going all over the place. Here's Montgomery called for the foul as she looks at John Palermo with a what? Yeah, you. Number
isn't that every player?
One on Montgomery, 4 in a team. Well, Magic Johnson never committed a foul in his 13-year NBA career.
And I could speak personally. I never did. I can look down the scores table. I know Kara Walters never did.
Down low, Norwood is called for the travel. This is Kara had a nice warm greeting before. There's Kara before the game today with Stony Brook's coach Michelle Cherry, who coached Kara when Kara played for the Sacramento Monarchs, and Michelle was more of the Q's assistant. So they caught up before the game.
It's amazing how small this women's basketball world really is,
Thomas with the miss, and the rebound is pulled down by Allie Young, who had a career-high 13 against Iona on Friday. We've played 13.5 minutes. It's 36-8 UConn. It looks like a second-quarter Patriots score on a Sunday afternoon. Except the Patriots aren't beating anyone today. They're not playing today.
A well-deserved bye week.
Horsey's shot blocked by Montgomery, and Thomas comes away with it. And Montgomery will try to get something going at the other end. Lobs it down low for Hunter. She's double teamed. Missed the shot. Charles with the offensive rebound.
And these are the types of minutes that Tina Charles has got to put in. Go strong to the basket. Be productive with her time out there.
She is 6 for 8 from the floor. She's got 12 points. She's already in double figures for the 24th time in her career. 2 years ago, she won every National High School Player of the Year award except one, and the other one was won by Maya Moore, her now teammate. Ferraro with the shot. She has scored 8 of Stony Brook's 10 points. Thomas, left side 3. Rebound on a hop to Thomas. And the shot clock recycles. Montgomery looking inside. Here's Green. Montgomery guarded by Horsey. Squeezes between them, and Plikus got her from the other side. Number 2 on Plikus, and that's number 3 on the Seawolves.
Well, there you see Hunter. She got that double team action, but Tina Charles wasn't boxed out on that weak side. She's got a nice mini jump hook that you see that she must have worked an awful lot on over the summer.
Charles, the National Freshman of the Year last year. Big East Rookie of the Year. Maya Moore with the miss. Rebound to 5'4" Horsey, and Green with the steal and dribbles between 2 players for the layup. Wow.
I mean, it just shows you the athleticism of Kalena Green can just explode with the basketball. Now Huskies going back into a little zone defense.
UConn has a 30-point lead with 15 minutes gone. A year ago, Stony Brook finished 2nd in the America East, 2nd to Hartford, but then lost in the quarterfinals of the America East tournament to UMBC. Young with the nice leaner. And that was a UMBC team that upset Hartford in the finals and wound up playing UConn in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. Sarah Kazadi, 14, is checked in and immediately comes up with a steal. Left side Young, nice reversal to Plikus. Down low, but Pizzati didn't have her feet set, and it will be the 14th turnover for the Seawolves. Nice body control demonstrated here by Young.
Well, and Young is one of those versatile players that can play so many positions, and how about the upper body strength and the control to get that down.
Thomas goes baseline, then loses her footing. Turnover number 7 for UConn. 3-on-2 if they hurry. Horsey pull-up. And Gino Auriemma wants timeout as Stony Brook playing hard. And, you know, when you fall behind 26-2 against a team that's ranked 2nd in the country, all you can ask for from your team is to play hard and play smart. You really, at that point, you shouldn't be paying any attention to the scoreboard.
Well, no, and I don't think that this guy is either. I mean, he was just yelling at Mel Thomas for what she did on the offensive end of the floor. And the good coaches, they don't necessarily care about the score regardless. And now, obviously, these guys are down by a lot. But what Michelle Cherry is saying to them is, listen, we still got to run our stuff. We got to execute offensively. We can't give them anything easy. And the things you can control, like box out and get rebounds, particularly that young lady.
Well, we began the telecast by talking about Mel Thomas's ability to hit from three-point range. And Thomas has started very strong on opening day in her senior year at UConn. She's already got 11 points.
A little wink of the eye there. And I love some of the differences that I've seen in Mel. Much quicker on the release. Both, not as much at the end of last year, but this year I know they really focused on it. And she's shooting the ball better off the dribble. She's just thinking shot. When you're a three-point shooter, you got to catch, think shot, because otherwise the defense will not play you as such.
Well, creating her own shot is not her strength.
Right.
Green with the miss, and then Thomas sticks her nose in there and gets the rebound.
She accomplishes a lot of things that are pretty amazing, because it's not like she's going to beat you with her speed or quickness.
Charles, boy, Pizzati's got quick hands, doesn't she?
Oh, absolutely.
She knocked it away not once but twice. She had a steal a couple of possessions ago. Here's more. What a baseline look to Green.
And that's the splits offense. The ball gets into the post player, and then that wing, the corner guy there was Kalena Green, cuts off, and if she's open, the post player throws her the ball, and you need to have good passers in the post, and Maya Moore is a phenomenal passer.
Lycus airmails this into the press table on our side of the floor. But Maya Moore, I was going to say she can do a little bit of everything. She can do a lot of everything. She's more than just a scorer. Check out this pass. Did they run this offense at Collins Hill High School too? This looks pretty comfortable, doesn't she? 28-point UConn lead. Well, UConn off to a really fast start. 42-14. The opening day numbers for UConn are overwhelming. They're 25-8 in their history, 18-4 under Gino Auriemma. We mentioned they've won 11 openers in a row. And Megan, you remember the last one they lost. They're coming off their first national championship team. Of course, you were an assistant coach on that team. And they opened their season in the State Farm Classic. It was a doubleheader in Knoxville. Tennessee played Virginia in the second game. And UConn lost, I believe it was in overtime, to Louisiana Tech in a terrific opening game. And they haven't lost an opening day game since.
And that's going to make him look really good that they haven't lost since then. But, you know, I think the important thing is, I mean, that's a tough opening game against Louisiana Tech.
And this is what they've done against unranked opponents in their last 200, which is stunning. They just don't get upset. Green lays it up and in. The Huskies have won 198 consecutive unranked games, or games against unranked opponents, here or at home. That includes Civic Center and Gamble.
And you know, you typically don't open up with the strongest opponents on your schedule, but what I find so interesting every year is the way the team will play in November and then the way they'll play in March. They're usually two completely different ball clubs.
Daniels with the miss. Here comes Montgomery with 2.5 remaining, and UConn up by an even 30. Down low, Charles takes it right at Pizzati. Actually missed, but got her own rebound. And Maya Moore with the putback, and I think Pizzati got her on the wrist. That'll be her first, and number 4 on Stony Brook.
You know, Gino talked, Bob, about being a really good, having a big post presence. You got to have good post players, great post players, to win a national championship. And you need to be able to score in the post, but then on the other end, they got to be able to defend.
And he mentioned how you have to be able to rebound. They rebounded pretty well on this sequence.
But these aren't the ones you want to rebound, because you want to just shoot it once and make it and go back the other way. But the key there is the effort. And they didn't give up. They kept staying with it and getting after it. And that's the kind of stuff you want to see your team do.
Kylie McLaren checking back in. Kylie will have a reunion with her one of her high school teammates, Brianna McFadden, on Wednesday night when Holy Cross comes to Gamble Pavilion. We'll have it for you at 7:30 on CPTV. Crusaders losing by 2 late first half today in their opener at home against Vermont. Bill Gibbons, the coach of the Crusaders, coached Sharday Houston and Mel Thomas on the U.S. Pan Am Games team this summer.
It'd be great to get some of his comments
Here's
about
Thomas.
that
Look at that
experience.
change of direction on the bounce, but the pass is a little bit behind Hunter. Last touch by UConn. Oh, no, wait a minute. I think Denise Brooks-Claus is going to come over and tell Rita E. Roach. I think it's the other way. Let's see. Nope. I think what happens there, the lead official, Denise, well, they did change it. They go over and they say, you sure you saw that right? Because I think I saw it pretty clearly. And then it all depends on who the official is. Sometimes they'll say, all right, you got it. Someone will say,
exactly.
My vision's pretty good, too.
Well, and you know what? You can't have a huge ego. You got to say, okay, you know what?
You want to get it right.
Yeah.
It's got to be the goal. And John Palermo will call a hold on the inbound pass, I believe. So a foul on the Seawolves. Or is this a shot clock issue? What do we got here?
Oh, I think it might be a shot clock issue.
Yep. He said 23 instead of 21.
My
so
boy
Norm
is all, yeah, he's all over it as usual.
You know, when people get on officials all the time as if they can do nothing right, it's amazing all of the things that they have to keep track of.
I would never want that job.
Here's Thomas with the 3, no good. Rebound, McLaren.
A nice case being at the right place at the right time, Kylie McLaren.
I mean, think about this. The ball's about to be inbounded. You're watching 10 players make sure that no one's doing anything illegal, and then one of them notices that the shot clock is 2 seconds off.
Yeah, that's being on your game, and John Palermo is one of the best.
John's sporting quite a tan.
He is.
November, what's today? November 11th? Rebound Soignet.
Hey, my little brother's birthday today.
Is that Bart?
Barty's birthday, and then my brother Chris's wedding anniversary. Big day in the Patterson family.
Hunter lays it up and in. Now, is Bart still in Chicago?
He is.
Well, we get a chance to see him when we're out there for the DePaul games.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Last game of the regular season on a Saturday night. It's going to be better than a Saturday night in Chicago on someone else's nickel.
Exactly, and I'm not pregnant this time. Even better.
I won't touch that one. Dana Ferraro on the right to Daniels. Draws the double through Ferraro's hands, and another turnover for the Seawolves, their 16th of the game. Wow.
Well, see, UConn takes away the passes that you want to make, so they force you to make those tough passes, those skip passes, and against a good defensive team, those passes never get through.
Stony Brook had 18 turnovers on opening night against Iona, and already 16 today. Final minute of the half. First year as a head coach for Michelle Cherry, who spent 17 years either playing for or an assistant under Maura McHugh. Shot no good. Moore got a tip, and the shot clock is off for the Seawolves with 24 seconds, and Michelle Cherry wants to play for one. Mentioned that she spent 3 years as an assistant coach of the Sacramento Monarchs. She also coached for the Long Beach Stingrays in the American Basketball League. 5 seconds to go in the half. Daniels, double team, throws it on the run, no good. Rebound and a foul at the buzzer. But since neither team is over the limit, it is truly no harm but a foul. Tina Charles with a very impressive first half. UConn ending the half with a 10-0 run. And Gino Auriemma's club had a shutout of one sort in the first half. In 20 minutes, his team scored 36 points in the paint, and Stony Brook has yet to score in the paint. The Huskies, looking to make it 12 straight wins in their openers, have a big fat 36-point lead at the half.
Bob, thank you. CD, now in a game like this, you guys have a big lead. One of the things I thought was impressive, you outscored them in the paint 30.
Impressive or impressive?
Impressive. I don't know if depressive is actually a word even.
I thought you were depressed. I don't know. Sorry.
36-0 points in the paint. I mean, that's impressive.
We should. You know, they're obviously overmatched, but we played about 10 good minutes that first half. did some good things. We need to do better against their zone. We worked on it this morning and didn't have a great carryover, so hopefully we'll get some things done in the second half.
Okay, when you say getting things done, obviously against his own, but in a game like this with the score this wide, what are things in this next 20 minutes that you guys are really looking for?
Well, first, our goal is to score 100 points. We want to put a lot of points in the board, and that's transition, that's half-court offense, so offensive rebounding, and those are the things we're going to look for. Attacking the zone, not settling for outside shots, getting good ball movement, those are really the things that we're looking for.
All right.
And score points to be impressive.
So wait, you want to score more than them?
Yes. Back to you, Bob.
All right, Chris, you're impressive as always. Offensive rebounds, UConn had 12 of them. Let's take a look at some first half highlights. Mel Thomas, 11 points, 3 of 7 from three-point range. Maya Moore, 6 points, 5 rebounds. Keisha Soignier hit both of her shots and scored 5. There's an offensive rebound by Tina Charles, who scored 12 first half points. At the other end, Dana Ferraro scored 8 of Stony Brook's 14 points. This basket off her own steal. She was 4 of 5 from the floor. And perhaps the prettiest basket of the first half for Stony Brook was provided by Allie Young. And that was her only field goal of the first half. The numbers are not very pretty for Stony Brook. UConn out shooting the Seawolves 60% to 30%. The points in the paint, 36-0. And look at the turnovers, Megan. 16 of them for the Seawolves.
Well, you can't do that against a team of UConn's caliber. They're just going to kill you. And it's, you know, obviously the points in the paint are a big reason, or a big result of those 16 turnovers.
This is a Stony Brook team that won on opening night against Iona. And Dana Ferraro was a key player in that game. She had 16 rebounds, and she did her part in the first half. And we talked about Mel Thomas at the beginning of the telecast and her ability to light it up from the perimeter. And indeed, she did that in the first half. UConn will play 8 games here at Gamble Pavilion this season. The next one will be against Holy Cross. The Crusaders in a 2-point game at the half today against Vermont. And their opener will have the Holy Cross UConn game for you at 7:30 Wednesday night here on CPTV. Green down low to Brittany Hunter. Her pass deflected by Young. Montgomery goes baseline and leaves for Hunter. It's a very quiet first half, Megan, for Renee Montgomery. She took only 2 shots, had 2 points, did have 3 rebounds and 3 assists.
And, you know, sometimes you say, well, what wasn't she doing? And you look around and you say, well, look what everybody else did. And that's sometimes what you have to look at.
Down low, Morgan Patrick wants to spin on Tina Charles and spun right over the baseline with the ball. Turnover number 17 for the Seawolves. Now, following that Holy Cross game, UConn will then go to the U.S. Virgin Islands to play in the Paradise Jam. They'll meet 8th-ranked Stanford on Thanksgiving night, then Old Dominion on the Friday night of Thanksgiving weekend. Take Saturday off, and the third game in that tournament will be either against Duke, who's ranked 9th in the country, Purdue, who's ranked 20th, or Temple. So a good early test for the Huskies.
Yeah, certainly.
And not a bad place to spend your Thanksgiving.
Well, and it's certainly not a vacation. While the weather will be nicer, they'll get to enjoy the Virgin Islands a little bit, but there'll be certainly no coasting on the basketball floor.
And that is a Purdue team that UConn is also going to play during the regular season. So potentially the Huskies could play them twice this year if they wind up meeting them on that Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend. The ball last touched by Stony Brook. The game with Stanford will be the first of 9 for the Huskies against teams that are ranked in the preseason top 20, including a pair with Rutgers. And Rutgers plays Stanford tonight in Piscataway.
Yeah, what a game that's going to be.
Big early season test for those two. Rutgers ranked number 3.
Now the Husky faithful, you got to root for Rutgers in that game. However much it might pain you, you got to root for them.
Thomas hitting the jumper.
Got to work on that Big East respect around the country. We talked about it off the top of the show. It means 7 of the top 25 teams are from the Big East, and yet around the country, the Big East is still seen as sort of a doormat league. Everyone talks SEC and ACC.
Pass into Patrick, and we're going to get a foul away from the play on the screen set on the Seawolves. So that will be their second foul of the second half, and the first foul on Cherie Davis. This is the preseason top 25, the Associated Press poll, and there are your 7 Big East teams, particularly at the bottom. Marquette also in the others receiving votes column.
Yeah, not bad. The 2 of the top 3 our Big East, UConn and Rutgers.
Nice look from Hunter to Charles.
Great left hand by Tina Charles. And you're right, the nice feed from Hunter allowed Tina Charles to just catch it, turn, and score.
Nice story by Carl Adamek in the Manchester Journal-Inquirer about how Brittany Hunter last March when the season ended never thought she'd see another opening day because she thought her knee would not permit her to play in her final year of eligibility. But her knee is, knock on wood, is feeling pretty good early in the season. There's a block shot by Patrick. Green keeps it alive to Montgomery for 3.
Those are the kind of possessions that are killers. Stony Brook did a pretty good job defensively of stopping UConn 1 and 2 times, but then to get the ball out behind the arc and for UConn to knock down the 3, that's just demoralizing.
Montgomery had 46 threes last year as a sophomore when she was a first-team All-Big East performer. Ferraro with the miss, and Hunter deflected the rebound to herself. Here's Montgomery. Up top, Thomas. High post, Hunter. And the rebound to Horsey at 5-4. Misha Horsey taking over for Makima Ford at the point. Ford, the America East Player of the Year last season. But she was a completely different point guard. She was a point guard who could score. Second leading scorer in Stony Brook history. Long 3 by Horsey. Great box out rebound by Thomas.
So fundamentally sound, Mel Thomas. You know, I talked earlier, not the quickest player on the court, but a play like that shows you how smart she is.
At the elbow, Charles down low. Nice catch by Hunter in the spin.
Nice feed from Tina Charles at the high post down.
To return the favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple possessions ago, it was Hunter to Charles.
Well, that's what makes this team so difficult to defend again, because they have such great passing post players, and that's why they can run that splits offense this year.
Ferraro with her 9th and 10th points of the afternoon. That ends a 21-0 UConn run. 28th double-figure scoring game of
Nice
Ferraro's
pass.
career. And good quick hands by Davis created the held ball. And the arrow pointing toward Stony Brook. Brittany Hunter began her collegiate career at Duke, has had knee issues, and is trying just to keep it going in her final year here at UConn.
On the court, obviously, you know, Renee Montgomery's the one that is the most noticeable, most vocal. She's got the ball in her hands all the time. Her personality on the court is, you know, take charge.
But Megan, you've seen this UConn team really wearing 3 different hats: as a player, as an assistant coach, and now as a broadcaster. Take me back to your playing days. How was it determined who was the leader? Who was the leader on your UConn team that went to the Final Four in 1991? And how did that person lead?
Well, you know, leadership is in different ways. You know, like Carrie Bascom was a leader, but she led more by the way she played.
She wasn't fiery as
No. Here's a shock. I had a big mouth, which is shocking to hear that. But, you know.
I've never noticed.
You know, Laura Licious was a great leader, a great player, but she led more by the way she played than by vocal stuff.
Well, there's the leader that Gino Auriemma would like to be on the court, Renee Montgomery, going from one end to the other.
And what you didn't see from that interview with him, which I did on Friday morning when we taped the Gino show, which aired before the game today, is that off the court, exactly, off the court, this team really doesn't have a clear-cut leader. They have a lot of kids. They do a lot of things together, but there's not one clear-cut leader. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, as the season plays out, that's what happens when you don't have upperclassmen, which, of course, they do on this team. Shot clock violation, so that one does not count. Let's look at that last sequence. It looked like Moore winced a little bit at the end of the play. She collided with Ferraro.
It's a nice collision. And it's especially those collisions when you don't see them coming,
right,
they hurt a whole lot more.
Moore finds Thomas. McLaren baseline. Moore
Nice
cut for the
cut.
hole. Oh, now that good idea by McLaren. The pass was a little on the low side.
But,
and
you know,
Moore went down and grabbed it.
And those are the principles of this offense, Bob. But on top of those principles, those are also instincts by Maya Moore to just cut to the basket. You never stop moving.
She caught that pass below her knees and somehow managed to A, not travel,
Whoa.
B, find the basket. Here's the steal. Moore has Thomas to the left. The one-touch pass.
And you could tell when Maya Moore was running up to that ball that she was going to knock that to Renee Montgomery.
Well, she's got 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists in her first game in a UConn uniform. Horsey, foul line jumper. McLaren up in the air for the rebound. And Ferraro and Davis were both there. This foul on Davis. Look at this catch.
Well, I like,
below the waist.
Yeah, and it was like a softball pitch was the pass to her. And then how about Kalina Green coming from the weak side? That's a great example of knowing where the ball is, and there's knowing where you are on the floor and where your teammates are. Tremendous pass from Maya Moore. 17-2
UConn run. You see Moore's numbers. Her numbers in high school were staggering. Told you about the 2,664 points. She also had 1,212 rebounds. And there's a rebound right there. Had her shot blocked from behind by Davis. Here's Young. UConn does a good job of getting back defensively. And on the rebound, we're going to get a foul right here on McLaren. Number 1 on Kylie. A slimmed down Kylie McLaren. She has lost a ton of weight. She's lost about 60 pounds from. But now, does that from the moment she arrived on UConn campus? Now is it 60, or does it go back to her high school days?
No, I think from in college.
Wow. Two-man game, Thomas and Moore. Moore stole it at one end and took the return feed from Thomas at the other.
Well, you work hard on one end. If you continue to work hard at the floor, you should reap the benefits, and there's a good example.
23rd turnover for Stony Brook, make it 24. Swanee is ahead of everyone, and no one will catch her. But Davis foolishly tried to challenge the shot anyway and winds up with her 3rd foul.
Well, you know, there's a fine line between, and you want to give the kid the benefit of the doubt that she wanted to play hard and not give up on the play and just watch her score. But at the same time, you don't want to foul in that situation and give them what exactly is happening is a chance for 3 points.
Swanee last year led the Big East in assist to turnover ratio. There's Megan Gardler. First look at her this afternoon. Sophomore, played at Cardinal O'Hara in Philadelphia, and her dad Buddy was Gino Auriemma's coach during his playing days at Bishop Kenrick High School in Norristown. I know you always make fun of Gino's athletic abilities, but yes, he did play the game.
Is that what they're called, abilities?
Bumping foul called on Dixon on the perimeter, her first, and the second on UConn in the second half. Dixon was Tina Charles's teammate for 3 years at Christ the King High School. When Maya Moore was a junior, Maya's high school team won 31-1. The one was to the Christ the King team that had both Tina Charles and Lauren Dixon. Dana Ferraro knocks down the 3. She
didn't attempt one last year.
Yeah, she didn't make a 3 at all last year. So she's come to Gamble Pavilion and done her part, scoring 13 of her team's 19 points. Here's Gardler for 3. She really struggled from there a year ago, shooting 18.9%.
And Megan's a better shooter than that. She knows it. Her teammates know it. But the problem is you got to do it when it matters, and that's in games.
Gino Auriemma likes to talk about she's a 5 o'clock shooter, not referring to Megan, just in general. A 5 o'clock shooter is someone who can light it up in pregame warm-ups.
Yeah.
But when the real lights go on, the game starts, it's a little bit tougher to hit shots.
Yep, that's true.
Good hustle play by McLaren. UConn had a 50-14 lead at the half, and they've picked up where they've left off. Well on their way toward winning their opener for the 12th straight year. Don't want to miss that one. There's a look at the UConn band that's doing its thing. First of 16 home games for the Huskies here at Gamble Pavilion, where they have had great success in their history in the last 14 seasons in this building. Gino Auriemma's club is 184-5. 2 of the losses to Tennessee and 1 each to Georgia, Notre Dame, and Rutgers. And Gino with Keisha Swanee, and Gino talks about how Keisha was not the most heavily recruited player coming out of high school, and as he said, she lives an hour from the Georgia campus and they didn't even recruit her. But Gino's sure glad that she wound up coming to UConn. Gino's good friends with Georgia coach Andy Landers, who's had a great career there.
Andy's a great guy, and Keisha is just one of those kids that she not only has she gotten so much better and she brings so much to the court, but she's just such a nice kid and a kid you enjoy being around, and has such a great family. Her parents are wonderful. And her father is up here all the time. Smokey makes a trip. Her mom was here. Rosie was here last weekend.
Well, you
How about that?
UConn's pretty much two halves kind of mirror each other.
Well, and you know what's impressive about that to me is that they came out in the second half and continued. They could have let up, knowing that they're better than Stony Brook, but they didn't. They came out and continued to dominate, particularly on the defensive end of the floor. That's really important.
This is Plakas. The right side jumper is good. It's a 2. Her foot was on the line. There's the kid from Connecticut at a Waterford High School. First team, and there are her parents. Robert on the left and Patricia on the right.
Her mom is fired up.
The family and friends bought 60 tickets for the game. Maya Moore with the putback and the rebound pulled down by Ferraro. Steal by Dixon to Moore.
You always got to know where that young lady is, because she'll find a way to hurt you.
So Moore in double figures with a dozen points. Wonder how many times we're going to say that in the next 4 years. Maya Moore in double figures. Plakas on the give and go to Ferraro. Plakas the other night started her varsity career with a bang. She played 16 minutes off the bench and she scored 11 points.
Talk about making the most of your minutes, and it's not easy to come in and make that transition to the college game.
Mom and dad again.
Yeah, we can credit our parents for that, right? I
Robert
think we should.
And Patricia. And what a thrill it must be for, it's called for the double dribble there, not only for Plakas herself, but her mom and dad, to see her play at Gamble Pavilion, where you have 5 national championship banners hanging from the rafters.
Yeah, it's just talked about a little bit here in Connecticut, right? This UConn program, and they're down the street in Waterford, so to watch their daughter play here, it's pretty cool.
Moore to Gardler on the right, and she'll hoist another 3. Rebound. Look at Moore go flying across the lane for her 8th rebound.
I mean, that's a kid, another one who's got just a nose for the ball and great instincts. What a pass.
And Lauren Dixon will get to the free throw line to shoot a couple. Plakas family, actually, Meg, will have multiple opportunities to see their daughter play this year.
Yeah.
This is the first of 5 trips to Connecticut for Stony Brook. They'll come back and play Quinnipiac, they'll play Yale, they'll play Hartford, and they'll then play in the America East Tournament, which will be at the University of Hartford in March. Dixon misses the first one as Hunter comes back in. These are Lauren Dixon's numbers her senior year at Christ the King. Gino Auriemma told me there aren't many players in the country who can apply pressure like Dixon because of her tremendous speed. She's also an unbelievable leaper.
Yeah, you wouldn't think she could get up like that, but she's got some hops.
So when it comes to the point guard position, the expression that comes to mind for me for UConn is an embarrassment of riches, because Lauren Dixon is the 3rd string point guard on this team.
Yeah, how about that?
Joya Daniels knocks down the jumper just inside the arc.
Soignier and Dixon could start on many other teams in this country.
UConn has scored 75 points, and we have 10 minutes left. Up high, Hunter. Gardler on the right.
See, if she had made a couple shots, she would have shot that, and she should have taken it.
Dixon with Soignier with the dribble drive rebound. Ferraro, her 5th of the afternoon. She led the America East in rebounding a year ago, and she is the 5th leading rebounder. Stony Brook history, she has 781. Turnover again. Gardler in transition. Who touched it last? Was it Gardler or Daniels? Daniels.
It was good hustle by Daniels to get back and deflect it.
The 27th turnover for Stony Brook. They have 11 field goals and 27 turnovers. Tahira Williams re-enters. She's the Gatorade Player of the Year in New Jersey her senior year at Immaculate Heart Academy in Montclair, Yogi Berra's hometown. Well, Yogi Berra's hometown is really St. Louis, but he has lived in Montclair for several decades. That's where the Yogi Berra Museum is located.
I was going to try to think of a yogi as much as
Swanier
wasn't
with
coming to my brain.
Well, you could say it gets late early here. It happened for Stony Brook. They fell behind 26-2. There's the rebound, Dixon. I don't know if the well, no one ever goes to that restaurant anymore because it's always too crowded would apply.
It's so popular.
Down low, McLaren. That'll be an offensive foul. Number 2 on McLaren.
Nice job by Plykus to stand in front of McLaren and take that charge.
Took some guts.
Gutsy move.
So what's going through your mind at that moment? Like, oh, is this going to hurt? But I got to do it.
You know what? Yeah, it happens too quickly. It happens too quickly. You don't really think about it till later, and you say, "What the heck was I thinking?"
I guess they give you Novocaine at the dentist chair.
Yeah.
There's none. Lobs it past, and the nice fronting defensive maneuver by Hunter.
Yeah, that pass shouldn't have been made because it was too well defended by Brittany Hunter. Side fronting there with those long arms outstretched.
Swanier fakes right, goes left. Good ball reversal against the zone. Rebound Ferraro, her 6th.
See, Keisha Swanier goes equally well right and left, and that's one thing that hurts Renee Montgomery. She doesn't have a great left hand.
Rebound is pulled down by Jeter, and the shot is blocked by Hunter. I'm laughing because Gino Auriemma in one of the post-game interviews pointed that out. He said, well, it'd be different if she actually used her left hand once in a while.
I try to be a little bit kinder about it.
And then we were in Tampa, remember the USF game? And by golly, she did use her left hand and went down the lane. And we were right next to the UConn bench, and we looked over and gestured to him. See, she used her left hand. And he'd say, yeah, and she missed the shot. So you just can't please some people.
Nope.
I guess that's how he's won 621 games. And his 401 games over 500 for his career. So he could lose the next 400 games and still be over 500. Reversal to Ferraro. Pull up. No good. Rebound none inside, and she was stripped down low. Great hustle by Ferraro, knocks it loose. Boy, Stony Brook hasn't quit, have they? And Daniels gets a timeout while on the floor before the help ball.
And she's trying to say, I never called it.
Well, she got it. And I think this is a full timeout. So with 7:40 to go, Keisha Swanier and the Huskies are shooting 53%, and they have a 52-point lead. Well, I think Gino Auriemma would admit that what would probably complete his career is someday to get a chance to coach the U.S. national team. He got a chance to coach against them in their first exhibition game. 3 UConn great players from the past. Swin Cash, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi were here. Taurasi did her part as she scored 14 points. Sue Bird had 8, and afterwards the group hugged before the post-game interview that largely consisted of the 3 players and Gino exchanging insults. Good-natured fun.
I know, and it was a complete fashion critique, and he was more involved in it than they were. It was hilarious. It was a total chick conversation. He being the lead chick.
Few can beat Diana Taurasi when it comes to trash talking, but her former head coach is someone who can beat her.
Well, and you know what? I knew that she got him good because he kept going back at her, and then he brought up the bruise thing with her nose, and I knew that she had struck a nerve, and I loved it.
Joya Daniels kissing one off the glass for the Seawolves. Down low, Charles had her pocket picked by Ferraro. I'll tell you what, Dana Ferraro is the real thing, huh?
Everything that we've heard about her is so true. The kid never stops moving. She works so hard. She sacrifices her body.
She's got 13 points and 6 rebounds. The team's only scored 25. She's got more than half of their points. Make it 15 out of 27.
She's got the sleeve on her right arm, which is presumably for her elbow, but her knees are all banged up. Her coach makes her wear this Under Armour with padding to cover her hips because her hips are so bruised from falling on the ground.
Charles with a little jump hook in the lane. She's got 16 points. Number 51, Cassie Kearns, is checked in for the Huskies. 6'3" junior from Valparaiso, Indiana. And Daniels loses the ball over the sideline. That's the 29th turnover for the Seawolves. UConn has won its last 15 home openers, a streak that goes back to November 29th, 1990. They're up by 50. Holy Cross lost their opener today, 54-44 at home to Vermont, and it was an atypical Holy Cross season last year, Megan. They finished 15-18, but they won the most important game all year, their conference tournament championship game, beating Bucknell to get the Patriot League's automatic bid to yet another NCAA tournament appearance for Holy Cross.
And, you know, Billy always finds a way to get his team to win the right games. He's a great coach, and he gets them fired up and ready for the biggest games, and regardless of the type of talent that they have.
Montgomery with the miss. Farrar with her 7th rebound. Holy Cross lost 2 significant seniors for graduation, Caitlin Foley and Brittany Kyle. So it figures to be somewhat of a rebuilding year for them. Daniels kisses it off the glass. Joya Daniels, sophomore from Silver Spring, Maryland, was 4 of 5 from the floor, 10 points off the bench, career high 10 in 20 minutes on opening night. She only played 20 minutes all last year. Montgomery, deep 3. Rebound, Ferraro again, her 8th. Up the floor quickly to Daniels. And the putback by Ferraro. Can't get it to go, but that's rebound number 9. So she's 1 rebound away from a double-double against a team that was 6th in the country in rebounding margin last year. Thomas with her 4th 3 of the day.
She just really seems to have, and it's funny to say this because she's been such a great three-point shooter throughout her career, but there seems to be a confidence about her and just such a smooth release.
193rd career 3 for Thomas. Rebound last touch by Tahira Williams.
And, you know, when we talked earlier about all the great three-point shooters, I was remiss in mentioning one name, Bob, and that's Wendy Davis, who
a
teammate of mine who was such a great shooter that to this day many of us still call her Silk, because that was her nickname, because all she did was just drain that ball through the silk.
Diana Taurasi broke Wendy's career record for three-point field goals. Charles and Montgomery sit down, presumably for the rest of the day. Charles 16.6 rebounds. And the blocked shot by Mel Thomas.
Well, Ariel Brown goes to try to, oh wait, that ball's going to be on the side? Is it after the shot?
The basket's good. And the foul. Now, if she was fouled, isn't she shooting?
I thought she'd be shooting for a 4-point play.
Well, she'll have to settle for her 5th 3 of the day, and she leaves with 21 points, 5 of 10 from three-point range. Also had 3 assists. Her 10th career 20-point game. As Mel last year got a chance to play in her hometown when UConn played Cincinnati. Bearcats, member of the Big East, Sharday Houston will play in her hometown in late December as UConn's playing a game at San Diego State.
What a great time of year to go to San Diego when it's cold here.
Kearns, baseline jumper, rebound Moore, kick out Soignier. Is Moore's 9th rebound. And that's Moore's 13th, 14th, and 15 points in her first career 3. 15 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists coming off the bench on opening day.
Not too shabby, huh?
Ariel Brown has the shot blocked by Moore. Down low, baseline McLaren, kick out Moore. Great ball movement. Jackie Fernandez, 13, is checked in for the Huskies. And as Soignier starts to go, she is bumped by Ariel Brown. Brown, a freshman from Lumberton, New Jersey. Well, UConn jumped in front 26-2, and they never took their foot off the gas. I don't know. Maybe there's one named after Billy Crystal also I'm not aware of. Maya Moore to inbound.
One of my all-time favorite comics.
Oh, it's great. City Slickers. How funny was that? He's trying to lasso the calf, and he lassos himself. Kearns.
Nice pass.
Maya Moore for 3. She's got 18 points to go along with 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 block shots. Double-double on opening night.
And let's not discount the great pass from Kylie McLaren, too.
This is Kirsten Jeter, number 32's checked in. What a debut she had as a freshman Friday night. 7 points in 6 minutes. Rebound Fernandez, and McLaren has to tie her shoe. Moore with her third straight three.
Wow.
She's hit 3 threes. And what about the last 90 seconds?
She just shook her head, and sometimes players just get into a zone, and everything they touch is golden, and you could say that for that young lady here of late.
She's got 21 points. So she's evened with Mel Thomas for game high. Rebound pulled down by Crystal Rushin, and Moore will be called for the foul. Rushin, a sophomore from Valley Stream, New York, not far from Kennedy Airport. Gardler and Dixon come in, and the hand for Keisha Soigné, and maybe even more so for Maya Moore. Look at that line. Add 2 block shots, and what is he doing? Telling her what she did wrong?
It would be a short conversation, but you know what the important thing is, and this is where he's a really good teacher, in that he's probably not saying anything that she did great, but he's telling her things about the game, and that's what makes him a really, really good coach, is that he's telling her things I'm sure that she still needs to work on, things that she did well.
Sure. Maya Moore won all of the National Player of the Year awards last year, and 2 years ago as a junior she won the Naismith Award, won it again as a senior. Led her team to 3 state championships. They won 125 games, and she had a 4.0 grade point average as a senior.
So that's what separates her from so many other players that have come through here. Is she is an outstanding basketball player, but she's also an outstanding student. You can't say that about everybody.
Zadi made the shot. Very focused, goal-oriented, and organized person. Mature beyond her years. The shot is up and in by Dixon.
And you know, Moore's also, Bob, a perfectionist, which can sometimes hamper you a little bit, because she has a tendency to try to do everything perfectly and then struggles. Sometimes will stop when she doesn't.
And that's her mom, Catherine, there in the in that white jacket over the red shirt.
Talking on the phone, the pretend phone.
And she has relocated to Connecticut to watch her daughter play. They are from Lawrenceville, Georgia. But prior to that, they lived in Charlotte. They also lived in Jefferson City, Missouri. And her mom did a wonderful job in raising Maya and keeping her goal-oriented.
She's just a really nice person. You know, the two of them are just nice people. And that's the most important thing you could say about anybody.
It's a terrific story in this morning's Hartford Courant, written by John Altavilla, about Maya Moore and her mom, Catherine. And quotes in there from a good friend of both of ours, Doug Bruno, the coach at DePaul, who coached the U.S. National Under-19 team last summer. McLaren with the miss. Kearns with the rebound and the foul. And Doug coached Maya. Maya was the best player on that team, averaged 16 points a game. Jen Rosati of Hartford was an assistant coach, and they talked about how she's the hardest worker on the team and how focused she was. And there were some players in the team, some of the older players, who actually resented her, and Jen Rosati was quoted saying just petty jealousies by people who aren't willing to work as hard.
Yeah, by some of these spoiled kids. And there's a kid who's not spoiled. Cassie Kearns going hard to the offensive rebound, getting herself to the line for 3 points.
I think UConn fans are going to enjoy very much watching Maya Moore play for the next 4 years, not only because she's a great player, but the way she goes about her game, her demeanor, everything about her.
The way she carries herself.
Yep.
It's just different. And you'll probably get sick of us raving about her, but she's such a unique individual. People like that should be applauded.
Kirsten Jeter lays it up and in inside the final minute, and Kearns is tied up by Jeter, held ball, pointing toward UConn with 22 seconds left. And the announcement was just made over the PA that the UConn field hockey team won their game today and are headed for a berth in the Final Four. So congratulations,
Nancy Stevens and her club.
Stevens team. It's been an unbelievable fall season here at UConn. McLaren draws the foul from Kazadi. Randy Etzel's UConn Huskies finally losing a Big East game for the first time yesterday, losing at Cincinnati. But the UConn football team is still in the driver's seat if they win out, and they got a tough road ahead of them. they would win the Big East championship
Could you
and the
imagine that?
BCS bowl bid that goes along with it. But to do that, barring another West Virginia loss, they would have to beat Syracuse. UConn would have to beat Syracuse next Saturday at home, and then would have to beat West Virginia in Morgantown a week from Saturday. West Virginia is ranked 7th in the country, but very likely the Big East championship will be on the line in Morgantown a week from Saturday. And
That's
UConn's going to be in a
unbelievable.
game which is going to decide the Big East championship.
Isn't that
How incredible is that?
amazing? Good job, Randy Etzel and all those guys. Lyndon Johnson, good friend of mine on the coaching staff.
Jeter hits the shot. The shot clock is off, and I would bet that Gino Auriemma is going to tell his club, nope, we'll settle for 98. Crowd wants 100, but that couldn't possibly be less important.
Yeah,
So Gino
classy
Auriemma
move to
right
not
there.
try to score 100.
So rave reviews for the UConn Huskies on opening day as they win their season's opener for the 12th straight year. And they have now won 16 consecutive home openers. They're 26-8 in openers in their career and 29-5 in home openers. 22-1 in home openers under Gino Auriemma. They shot 55% from the floor. They outscored Stony Brook in the paint 60-10. 21 points for Maya Moore. 21 points for Mel Thomas. UConn wins at 98-35.